Hello, everyone who's watching this on the social media pages, I guess. So this is just our quick kind of virtual Q&A, just going through some of the common questions when it comes to Quidditch. If you've got any questions which we aren't covering during the session, feel free to put them into the comments or message the page. We'll get back to you with some semblance of an answer, I suppose. But first off, I think it's kind of worth introducing ourselves. So I'll pass over to Kim to start out.
So, hi, I'm Kim. I'm the Exeter Eagles captain, which is our current Quidditch team, and I'm also basically just the coach and everything that the team needs in terms of leadership. So I'll be in charge of running, planning, and manning each of the sessions, getting us to and from tournaments, organising all that stuff, and just basically making sure that no one hurts themselves too much when we're on pitch.
I'm Cam. I'm president of the society, and I've been doing Quidditch pretty much as long as Kim has. It's one of those things where I've been playing it since September 2018. So that could be 2 years, could be 3 years, depending on how you count the last year and a half. Yeah, COVID years. I think
we essentially had a full year pre-COVID and then a term and a half where we did our best.
Yeah, and so we do have slightly different experiences when it comes to playing Quidditch, just simply in the sense of position. So I normally play as a chaser when it comes to the sport.
Whereas I normally play as a beater, which are two of the roles within Quidditch.
Which kind of makes the black background kind of appropriate, actually.
Which does, because in Quidditch we all wear different headbands to represent which position we're playing. The 4 positions are keeper, chaser, beater, and snitch, which we'll go into more detail later. Seeker. But essentially, seeker. Snitch is sort of a role as well, but yeah,
seeker catches the snitch.
Yeah, and so we all wear different headbands, color associating to roles. So beater is black headbands, chaser is white headbands, seeker is a yellow headband, and keeper is a green headband. So what that predominantly is what we go through in the first few weeks. So we'll give everyone an opportunity to play in every position, and ultimately it is where they feel most comfortable. Within my first training session, I knew that I did not enjoy any of the chasing side, and I actively did not participate in any of their training sessions. I really enjoyed being a beater. There are a lot of players which we call utility players, which will cross over. Some will play beaters and chasers. That is also a thing. So it's not set in stone. You don't have to decide in the first session. We will give everyone the opportunity to play on any position as much or as little as they want, so that they can feel most comfortable on the team.
What I would say with that as well is that chances are you're going to play at least one of the two of chaser or beater, simply because seekers are only on from minute 17, and keeper is kind of there's only one of them, and it's almost like a senior chaser role, because they kind of want to call the plays essentially. So that's kind of, it's not so much, I mean, a fresher's all well and good to try do a keeper role. It's just chances are it'll be a slightly more experienced player who will take on that role for a particular game, essentially.
As I've just gone through the roles, so there are 4 different positions per team. There are typically 6 aside, though at minute 17 the snitch gets released, and at minute 18 our seekers get released, so when it becomes 7 aside. So there are 3 chasers, 1 keeper, 2 beaters for the first 17 minutes or 18 minutes, and then a seeker joins for the 18th minute until the snitch gets caught. So it is a inclusive sport, as inclusive as it can be. Instead of having a minimum of a certain gender, we say a maximum of the same gender. So the rule, I believe, is a maximum of 4 per gender. So for example, if we have our 6 players on pitch and you have 4 males on the team, then all of the other members of the team must identify as non-binary or female.
Yeah. I mean, how your sub box makes up isn't subject to the same rules, but on pitch.
Yeah, so on pitch it is a maximum of 4 per gender.
And that applies to any gender as well. It just happens to be that the most common example is when it's for male players.
A snitch is someone dressed in yellow. They just have like yellow sports shorts and a yellow shirt, and they will have a yellow sock with a tennis ball stuffed in it, along those lines. And it's sometimes a Velcro, sometimes it's tied onto their like belt buckle. It depends on like what equipment we have.
Sometimes it's just tucked in.
Yeah, sometimes it's just tucked in, which does fall out when they're just messing about. But essentially the whole aim is for your seeker to try and grab that sock, and whoever grabs that sock gets 30 points, and the game then ends. The person with the most points will win the game, essentially.
Yeah, that's been made a bit more complex with some new rules, but that's the kind of something we kind of
learn if you join our training sessions.
You'll learn if we join, and we'll sort of learn as we go into tournaments, because that change happened over the pandemic. That the seeker thing, it sounds fairly easy trying to catch the ball out shorts. It's a lot harder than it sounds, just from experience.
Obviously, we are not the magical beings of Harry Potter and the Wizarding World, so we do not, in fact, fly, but we do have a broomstick.
It looks something like this, and so it's not wood; it's plastic, and basically that was designed so people don't end up getting splinters or breaking their brooms on someone else unintentionally.
Quidditch does not need any experience. We do have a few members where in previous years where Quidditch was their first sport, and that's completely okay. Or you could be a seasoned expert and have done every single sport known to you throughout your years of childhood, and you'd still be welcome on the Quidditch pitch. It requires absolutely zero experience. You will learn everything in our training sessions. We'll go through all of the rules. We'll go through how to do the basics, and whatever you need, we will support you through it all.
What I'd say what it requires is kind of the confidence to get involved, and also sports clothing. I did attend my first taster in jeans. That was a bad choice.
We try to do when we have a full training team is a 1.5 hour fitness session on a Wednesday, and then a full training session every Sunday for 2 to 3 hours. So this is where we'll typically go through drills, we'll do practice games, stuff like that. So obviously that is dependent on how many players we actually have to train with, but this is our main goal. We want to try and keep up the 1.5 hours of fitness, then we may reduce that if numbers force us to, and we want to try and keep up having our Sunday sessions as drills and working on games as much as possible.
And timings are kind of subject to change based on who gets involved, I'd say, as well.
And
as
on the weather.
Yes. And weather it's one of the things where weather doesn't stop tournaments, but it might stop training, basically, a lot of the time.
We try to do the Wednesday session for the fitness form, which doesn't require as much space. We would do that at Bury Meadows because it's a lot more accessible, it's a lot closer, because it's a lot more central to town. But then our full training days where we do the full games, that's at a place called Flower Pots, which is more on the outskirts of town. It is slightly further away, but it's a lot better training conditions, which is why we like to use this for our more official training sessions.
And as with timings, that's subject to change based on who is involved. I mean, it's what we're used to, but if it is a case of it just simply doesn't work for who's in the team, we're not kind of 100% set of it has to be in that particular location.
Well, we play against other university teams from around the world, or not around the world, around the country. There is around the
Not
world
that good
tournaments,
yet.
but yeah, that's not something that we'll typically partake in. So yeah, it's split into a northern and a southern essentially, and then we all meet in the middle at a tournament called BQC, which is British Quidditch Cup.
And this year they're also planning on introducing slight separation because there's also some community teams as well. So there are so we may see them as kind of small scale tournaments, some of the community teams. However, when it comes to the large Quidditch UK tournaments, so that's the kind of national tournaments, it is going to be split into kind of university teams and community teams, just simply so we don't have someone who with barely a year's experience of Quidditch playing against someone who's been doing it for well, 5 years. We might still get that, but chances are the experience is going to be closer range, basically.
We have a few taster sessions coming up this Monday, the 31st of May, and Wednesday, the 2nd of May, from 1 to 3 p.m. at Flowerpots. Our events are posted on our page, so you can use that to figure out where we're going. So it's just a bit of a taster session, so you can try out Quidditch. You can come for 5 minutes or you can come for the whole thing, and it's okay if you're late. We're just typically going to be running through some fun games that we can sometimes use as drills as well, just to introduce players to each role on the team. As I said, there's 4 roles, so we'll do a various amount of games to try and give you a bit of a taste of what it's like to participate in those roles. And on a bigger scale, there is also a tournament called the South Coast Cup, which a few of our members will be attending. As we don't have enough to put forward our own team, we are manning the Mark team called the Explorers, which I will be captaining, and will predominantly be made up of Exeter members and then any other freshers or players who don't have their own team to participate in.
Obviously, when it comes to tasters, we are going to kind of put safety first, and so there will be measures in place to keep everyone kind of COVID safe and in line with university and governmental regulations as well, in case that is a concern for anyone.